Well, thank you. Chris and I were just talking about this location and the fact that this is where his exoneration was, but this is also where his conviction was. That's what we're here about today, is this piece of legislation, Senate Bill 1027, and I'm delighted to be here with Senator Ricks because he's the one that took up this mission for not only for Chris, but for justice in Idaho. As most of you know, there's several states that have this. This is a good bill. This is the right thing to do. There is no time to do the right, not to do the right thing, and this bill does that. As our justice process morphs over the years, unfortunately, there's people that have been wrongfully convicted that are long gone now. And this proposal, this legislation, the way it's changed, the way Senator Ricks worked on it this year, it's just one of those things that's good public policy. So it's a great honor for me to sign this legislation today on the 5th of March at 2 p.m. Now it's officially law. Senator Ricks?
Yes. So I'm really excited today to be here. This is a great piece of legislation. It's doing the right thing. And it's for Chris Tapp, but it's also for anybody else that's been in the same situation. This will provide some restitution, some compensation for those who have been wrongfully convicted, were put in jail when they shouldn't have been, and they were forced to be there against their will. And this is a way that the state can show, some restitution, that we're sorry, and that we can provide some compensation for those that have been done wrong by the system. I do believe our system, it does the best they can, and in most cases they always get it right, usually, but on those small occasions when things go wrong and things don't go right, this is what we do to try to fix that. And so I'm excited. I appreciate the governor working with us on this, and the great support we got from the legislature. We got unanimous support. I'm just really excited to be here today. So, and we'd like to give some time to Chris Tapp here.
It is my honor to be here today for the signing of this tremendous bill. This law will give wrongfully convicted people assistance to restart their lives, to help begin the process of moving on from the nightmare we have endured and continue to experience. I appreciate that we are here today in Idaho Falls, the scene of my wrongful conviction. But I also want to acknowledge Charles Fain, who is back in Boise. This law will help Charles be able to have some measure of comfort during his golden years after working for the last two decades to rebuild his life after losing 18 years on death row for a crime he didn't commit. I'm grateful knowing that in the future when someone is exonerated, this law will be in place to help them when they need the help the most. It was so moving for me to see the legislature acknowledge that wrongfully convicted people deserve recognition for all we lost. I am so appreciative for their support, and I thank you, Governor Little, for your support and your signing of the law today. Thank you.
Questions?
Let's do this.
Oh yeah, let's get it.
Let's get the signature on there.
We got to get it back to the Secretary of State's law so it gets put into the code. So, and I can't remember. And it has emergency clause, so it's law now.
Yep. Goes into effect immediately.
Okay, questions? Yes?
Kevin, I know there was a similar bill that failed last year, and this one passing. What's the difference? What made us go through with this one this year?
Well, and it wasn't the concept, and what, as I told Senator Ricks last year, Representative Ricks last year, it was some of the mandates that went in it, and what I just saw as a precedent that over time would probably be a problem. You know, I made a commitment when I talked to last year was Representative Ricks, that we would expedite this. Jared Larson, who works for me, that's behind you, worked with Senator Ricks all last summer to make sure that we did this on an expedited process. But conceptually, there were some parts of it that I thought were problematic that might go into other bills, unfunded mandates for certain things out there. We raised up the compensation, but in my mind, last year was a good bill, but I was just afraid about the precedent, and this is a better bill. So, but you know, I want to add on to my earlier remarks. This bill's a good thing, but there's no amount of compensation, and I've talked to Chris about that. That can anywhere come close to the consequences of wrongful conviction. You can make some amends in a monetary standpoint, but we need to continue to work on our justice system to where we have fewer and fewer of these wrongful convictions. I believe we do. You know, we've got DNA technology that we didn't have years ago. We have other rights that are there, but the possibility always exists, and that's why this is a good thing to do.
Chris, you know, the governor was hitting on it. It's hard to put a price tag on what a year of someone's life is worth. For you, not just the amount, but what does the compensation mean for you?
The compensation means for me that the next wrongful conviction will have something in place for the next individual that comes home. That they won't have to suffer like me and Charles has had for the last, 20 years for Charles since he's been released, and the last 4 years, that I've been released, in the last year of my exoneration, that we've had to, struggle and continue to move forward with our lives to the best of our capabilities. And now with this in place, that we'll be able to move forward along faster, I would say, that we'll be able to get to therapy, we'll be able to get the certain things that we need after being released from prison, instead of just being let out with a, there you go, enjoy your freedom. So it means a lot.
And how emotional is it to be back here in this courthouse?
It's truly emotional. I wish I could tell you I had great memories of being here, but I can't. I relive sometimes the nightmares of what has transpired over the last 23 years of my life. And again, I feel bad for Charles. I wish he could be here today with us, but because of his age and because of COVID and everything else, he belongs to be right at our side just as much as anybody.
There are still, as of today, 14 other states that don't have any statute at all to compensate the wrongfully convicted. Are you going to keep champion for other people in your position?
I guess I am. I just spoke in legislation on Wednesday in Oregon about compensation. So I'm not done. This is just the first step of many to continue on, because this is a truly important thing that needs to be done for the wrongfully convicted. It's truly important to know that people do recognize that we've been wrongfully convicted, and this will be part of it.
Yes.
And then, so I guess this is more for the senator. I apologize right now for not doing my homework super well. Who funds this?
Okay, so the funding with this will come from the general funds from the state, is how it will be funded.
Gotcha. So there's no taxpayers' money?
Well, it is taxpayers' money,
Okay.
yeah, the general fund.
And so I guess, follow up to that, what would you kind of say to those taxpayers who are maybe like, oh, well, I don't want to have to spend my hard-earned tax money compensating wrongfully convicted people.
Well, what I would say is, we have our system, our system of government, and we have our law enforcement, we have our courts, and those are there to kind of help protect our citizens, So we do spend quite a bit of money to make sure people are safe and that we put that those that have committed crimes in jail or whatnot. But we as a society, when we get it wrong. So in this case, there's a lot of things that have happened in the case with Chris, steps along the way. We had, attorneys, we had prosecutors. It's hard to sometimes pinpoint whose fault it really was. We had juries, we had judges, and as a society, we created our justice system. I think we owe a debt to these people that we put in jail wrongfully. And I think we as a taxpayer, society needs to try to do what we can to fix that. We can't give him back his years that is lost, but we can do what governments do is provide some compensation and try to help show that we're sorry through that method.
Sure. And then kind of a follow-up question for you and the governor, I guess. Are you guys concerned about possible repercussions of this as far as, once jury trials resume, and do you think juries might be a little more hesitant to convict now?
I don't think so.
I don't at all.
No.
Matter of fact, I think it is a sign of the maturing of our system. That, things that, some of these were operator error by the system, and some of them could have been, a mix-up in, DNA, a mix-up in evidence. And regardless, if somebody gets wrongfully convicted, which is what this is about, we spend money on a lot of things in government. This is, it's reflective of the vote count out of both the House and Senate. That's reflective of the way the people of Idaho feel. So it's the right thing to do. And, regardless of what caused wrongful conviction, it's just the right thing to do. I don't think it'll impact. We need to continue to work on our criminal justice system. And as Chris said, even the people that aren't wrongfully convicted, after they pay their debt to society, what do we do when we put them on the outside? What kind of tools do we give them so they can assimilate back into society for their families, for their communities, for their neighborhoods? Those are all things. And in fact, I think the legislature in the last few years, and there's some bills this year, are making great strides in making our criminal justice system work better.
Yeah, and I want to mention too that, in this whole process of helping out Chris and others and Charles, there's been a lot of folks that's helped out along the way. We're here trying to do what we feel is good to provide some compensation, but there's many folks that help them get out, and through DNA testing and defense attorneys and whatnot, that we owe a great debt of gratitude as well, and a great thanks for the work that they have done over the years to help Chris and Charles and a few others that have gotten out. So thank you too.
One of my issues has been, since I was fortunate enough to get this job, is confidence in government. That our democratic republic only works if the governed have confidence that the system's working. This is good prima facie evidence that the system is working. The people aren't unfairly robbed from their freedom, and that's just good for the whole system, that people have confidence in government. All right, anything else? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're gonna use that bill back to get it.
Thank you. Have a safe trip.
I'll just stay there.